Recording Academy, album art and release.
All right, everyone, for all intents and purposes, we have our song mastered. It's ready to export. But first and foremost, you're going to want to have some sort of album art. So previously, I created this YouTube video where I cover Canva. Canva is certainly a free graphic design program. It's very user-friendly and it's kind of taken off over the past couple of years. There is a pro version as well if you're interested in getting more features out of it. But if you're just simply wanting to put together some album art that's maybe like creative, it's got a few font choices, maybe a stock image of a bird, things like that, I highly recommend you check out Canva. I'll show you that here from this video that I put on my YouTube channel. And then also I'm gonna show you how to use DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distributor online, and it allows you to upload to many different platforms. Personally, I'll give you a recommendation here that if you are somebody that has interest in growing your own platform, like you want to have your own YouTube channel, or you want to have your own Amazon Music channel, of course, the number one recommendation is that you take ownership of your own music and your own distribution. I will just say from personal experience, is a very difficult route to try and grow those things on your own. So personally speaking, I use DistroKid to upload my music onto Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music only. I don't check off the boxes for YouTube Music because I have my own YouTube channel. It's relatively easy to upload your music to YouTube. But if you're somebody that just wants to focus on making your music and you want to have a platform where you can just upload your song every now and then and it'll put it out on the different platforms for you, that's of course where DistroKid comes in handy. But if you're somebody that's wondering, should I go the route of using a distributor? Distributors just get rid of a lot of the regulations and things that are in place. They're gonna keep you from uploading your music. I remember back in the day, this may still be the thing, but when we had iTunes, iTunes was very strict about who could upload music to their platform. So iTunes had certain things in place where only record labels could be uploading their music to the platform. It's very difficult as an independent artist or somebody that's just doing it yourself to upload to iTunes. So when things like DistroKid, CD Baby, when all these different platforms, distributors became available, it was very exciting. So number one recommendation, go with the free version of Canva and then consider DistroKid. Make sure you watch this video on how I'm using DistroKid, and then you can assess if that's the route you want to go yourself. If you do decide to go with DistroKid, just start off with a simple plan. They have, with their beginner packages, I believe you can have one artist, which if that happens to be yourself, you're gonna be in good luck. It also has features with DistroKid where anytime you receive payment for a song or a certain amount of streaming revenue, which is not much whatsoever, you can actually split the royalties among yourself and the songwriter or yourself and the artist. So if you have multiple people working on one session and you want to be able to split it up 50-50, or if you want each person to get 10%, you can certainly do that with DistroKid as well. They'll take care of that for you. But most of the distributors out there are going to have similar results. So make sure you do your research. Personally, I'm using DistroKid and I'm using Canva for these processes. I'm going to hand it over to myself to fill you in on the rest of the details, and I'll see you back for the next lesson. All right, when you first get into Canva, you very much can use just the free version. The pro version has a lot of fluff, has a lot of extra elements that you may find useful in the future, but for now you can get by with the free version. I'll show you how to build this album artwork from scratch. I'll show you my process and you can adapt it to as you need. I know this is very opinionated. Your album artwork should and probably doesn't look the same as mine, but in Canva, I want to go up to create a design. You can type in something like album art if you want, and it will give you recommendations. I recommend you stick to 1400 by 1400 because the dimensions of your artwork do need to be a square, okay? It needs to be a square. So 1400 by 1400. When you create your design, it's probably gonna look like this, where it is just a white square. First thing I want to mention is you may want to just use a template. So in order to use a template, you're going to go over here to design. And then on the design tab, you have the templates selected. You can type in whatever you want. If I want my template to be based on moon, I can type in moon. And then when I do a search, it has all these pictures of the moon and all these templates that I can definitely put to use. If I click this one here, it will load all of the elements for that artwork here on Canva. I can go in and edit this text. I can put where I come from. I can put my name down here. I can make it say Chris Green. Great music. That sounds good. It's got this little icon. I don't guess I can edit that, but you can use the templates. Templates are great, but you may notice that a lot of people in the world are using the same templates. So always making something unique will probably go a lot farther than using a template, but I want you to be aware of that if you're new to designing any of that sort of stuff. Now, if you're not going to go the route of using a template, here's something very quick that I make use of all the time, especially here on YouTube. This is how I make my thumbnails. We basically just have a white square. You can click up here. If you have the white square selected, go up to pick a background color, select any color that you want. I went with this kind of greenish color. And then what Canva allows you to do is you can actually drag and drop photos into Canva that you can edit later. So I took a picture of myself here in this room. I can go to my uploads. I can scroll through till I find, here's one of them here. Now you're looking at this photo and you're wondering, well, there's all that stuff in the background. Well, a big element of a pro version of Canva is that you have a background remover. So if I just click background remover, now is removed the background, leaving me. I can resize this. And not only can you resize it, you can also go through and make edits. So I can click this and go edit. I want to adjust the edit. I can add some brightness. I can remove some contrast. I can mess around with the colors, etc. You can also use like a drop shadow. There's more fancy techniques. If you're interested in Canva stuff, let me know in the comment section. But primarily, I don't want to get too bogged down in Canva. The next thing you may want to add is a text box. You can simply just click heading. It will add a text box where you can go in and, like I put where I come from, I can select that text. I can blow it up to be as large as I want it to be. About that, maybe change it to 2 lines there. I'll take this text and I'm going to change the text to white. And then I can't really see the text very well, so I'm going to go to effects and you can do a shadow. Shadow, you can make the shadow black, make it stand out a little bit more. Okay. Can enlarge the text. You can pretty much go crazy with Canva, make it however you want it to be. And a big element with Canva is layering. So if you're not familiar with Photoshop or any of these kind of design processes, you need to have everything in layers and you know how those layers interact with each other. Obviously, this text is sitting on top of my forehead. If I want to move that text to be behind my forehead, I can simply right-click this text box. I can go to layer and I can send backward. As soon as I send it backward, now the text is like floating behind my head. I can move it around and have something very much like that. So when you're done with this process on Canva, you want to click share and then click download. And then what you need to have is at least a PNG. PNG is going to be a higher file quality than something like a JPEG. I set it to PNG, and then what I want to export is just page 2. I click download. Now it's going to download the picture and I'll have an audio file ready to upload to DistroKid. And then I've got my album artwork as well, which will come in handy, okay? Again, this is not a sponsored video. I do want to look at what DistroKid has currently for their pricing so that you can know what you're getting into. For most of you out there, I highly recommend you check out the musician tier, which is the most basic form of DistroKid. It's going to be about $1.92 a month or $22.99 billed annually. That's going to give you access to one artist. If you yourself are the recording artist, you'll be just fine with the musician package. You'll be able to put your music on Spotify, iTunes, etc. You're just going to get more features that you can look at if you go over to the compare plans page. My wife and I are 2 different people and 2 different artists. So if I want to upload something as Chris Green and she wants to upload something as Lana Green, we obviously need to have a plan that covers more than one person. So we go with the 2 artists plan, and it's been working out pretty well. Now, when you have your DistroKid plan, you need to go to upload. So if you want to upload, we want to upload our music. First thing first, it's going to ask, where do we want to upload our music? Personally, I don't see any sort of negative in you uploading to many different platforms, but something I did with this recent release of Where I Come From, just so I could try it out. I basically wanted to limit the amount of places that I'm having the music uploaded. So I'm personally sticking to something like Spotify, Apple Music. I'm not uploading to YouTube Music for my own channel's sake. I'm uploading to iTunes and Amazon. Those are the biggest ones. Everything else, it just gets really finicky. So if you don't have a social media presence or a social media profile on those websites, like I personally do not use TikTok. So I don't want my music on TikTok because I'll never know what's happening with it. If my music is getting stolen, or maybe they're making a bunch of money off of my music on TikTok, I'd have no way of knowing about it because I don't even have the app. So go through and select which of these you want to have uploaded. Obviously, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Tidal perhaps, and then iTunes. Those are going to have some of the biggest numbers coming from those. Next is going to ask you, how many songs are you uploading? So for most of you out there, it's probably going to be a single. If you're just doing a single release, it's obviously going to be one song. But if you're doing something like my wife's hymns album, I believe we had 12 tracks. I would be selecting 12. But for this, it's just one song. Has this song or single previously been released? No, it hasn't. If it has been, if you're doing like another version, like a radio edit or some sort of remix, then you probably need to check yes. Now it's going to ask you the artist or band name. Obviously, my name is Chris Green, but this is the name that you want shown on the profile. So when you go on Spotify, if you don't use your name, like instead of Chris Green, if I wanted to go as Country McGregor, if I had like a fake name that I wanted to use, I would put Country McGregor. It's asking what artist name do you want to be visible on the profile. All right, now it's asking you, do you already have a Spotify artist page? Do you already have a music page? It says we're all set. If you have something associated with Apple Music or any of these profiles already in YouTube Music, you need to make sure you select it, or you can select Chris Green doesn't yet have an artist profile in Apple Music. Already on Instagram, no, Chris Green doesn't have a profile on Instagram. No, Chris Green doesn't have a profile on Facebook. Now it's going to ask you your release date. Release date is very important. Do not release your music the same week that you upload it. Why? Is because the distributor, it takes a long time for this music to get sent. So you at least need to be, I would say, at least 10 days out from your release. So at the time of this recording, it is December 20th. I would be setting this release for somewhere around January 2nd or January 3rd. It also has to do with marketing. If you want to spread the word about your music being released, you need to give yourself time for these platforms to have the music uploaded. It doesn't happen instantly, but you will get emails along the way. It'll say, hey, your music's ready on Apple Music. Hey, your music's ready on Spotify. Just give yourself at least 10 days out for everything to be set up. Record label, you can simply just put whatever you want. We use Green Family Music. Language is English. Primary genre, where do you want your music associated? So with this one, I would put country music, and then I will not put a secondary genre. All right, here we go. This is where we want to have our album cover. This is the artwork that we made in Canva. It's recommending that you upload a 3000 by 3000 JPEG format. So if you're using Canva, you want to go in and use 3000, that's fine. Click here to upload the image. We can select the image that we created. Click OK. There we go. Track title 1. This is the name of the song. I'm going to name this one, Where I Come From. Don't use any punctuations or anything unless you want that to be tied into your song. Where I Come From is the name of the song. Don't show any other artists in the title. This is the normal version. It's going to give you kind of a preview of what the song is going to look like on Spotify and other platforms. Now we need to upload the audio file. This is the file that we got from PreSonus Studio One. So I'm going to select the audio file. I can go into Songs, Country Song, in my mix downs, and here we have Where I Come From. This is the WAV file. I'll click Open. And before I upload it, it's got a few more questions here. Dolby Atmos, no, it is not. Singer-songwriter cover song. I wrote this song. It's very important. If you're going to do a cover songs will cost you extra money. That's because you're covering someone else's song. This happened on the Hymns album. My wife sang the song Because He Lives, which is a Bill Gaither song. So in addition to our normal upload process, if we're doing a cover song, she had to add another like $12 or so for it to be up for the year. Since this is an original song, I don't have to mark that. Singer-songwriters, real name, music, and lyrics. Christopher Green. Explicit lyrics. Do you have any language or cussing in there? You can put yes or no. No, the song is clean and always has been. Instrumental. The song contains lyrics. You can answer those questions as you're going. Now, I believe on the basic package, you cannot set your pricing for iTunes other than 99¢, but for the most part, 99¢, $1.29, it's not going to make that big of a difference. All right, it wants me to add credits for the song on release, and then it's going to give you some extras if you want to add those on. You totally don't have to do this. If you've already spent money on the musician plan, you don't want to spend any more. Just scroll all the way down to the bottom, check off these check boxes, click continue, and then it's going to ask you if you want DistroKid to master your music. It's totally up to you. I've never done the mastering process, but just keep things simple. Continue all the way through. It will upload your music ready for release. All intents and purposes, once you've uploaded your music and you've scheduled it for release, you should be good to go. Next steps, you obviously want to go into each of those platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. Make sure you have an artist profile created and that you have the rights to that account. You might have to have some sort of email with the companies or platforms to let them know this is my artist profile. It'll go through sort of like a security check where you have to answer some questions, and then you should have access to your artist profile so that you can log into each of those platforms and see your own stats. Now on DistroKid, you can also look at your own stats, how much money or revenue is coming in. But just know when you're using DistroKid and streaming platforms, this is not a day-to-day updated thing. It's usually about a month or maybe even 2 months delayed in the stats. And what they're doing is they're basically checking in the background, making sure that you're not abusing the system and that it's not a bunch of bots running your music. It does take quite a while for you to start seeing some revenue coming in from DistroKid. With that being said, those are the steps to get your music up and released. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you have your album artwork ready and then use a platform like DistroKid. All the links are in the description of this video to get your music up and released. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video. Now, there are many other videos here on my channel other than the Recording Academy, but make sure you check the playlist for Recording Academy for more lessons as they're being uploaded. YouTube is recommending this video just over my shoulder, so give that one a watch and I'll see you at the next video.